A janitor at MIT hides a secret genius until love, loyalty, and pain force him to face the hardest equation of all, his own life. At the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Professor Gerald Lambeau is admired for his brilliance. One day, he challenges his graduate students with an equation so difficult it once stumped the world's top mathematicians. He posts it on a hallway chalkboard, offering prestige to whoever solves it by the end of the semester. Students whisper about the impossible task, none daring to try. Late at night, when the halls are empty, a janitor quietly studies the board. His name is Will Hunting. On the surface, he is just a mop-wielding worker in overalls. But behind his calm stare hides a restless genius. At home, he covers his bathroom mirror with complex formulas, testing solutions like a scientist at war with himself. The next day, when no one is looking, Will picks up the chalk and casually finishes the equation that Lambeau had spent years solving. He walks away without leaving his name. Outside of MIT, Will is far from a model citizen. He spends his days drinking beer with his loyal friends Chucky, Billy, and Morgan, cruising around Boston and looking for trouble. At a little league game, Will spots a childhood bully and can't resist revenge. What starts as fists quickly spirals into brutality, with Will pummeling his rival long after the fight is over. His friends drag him off, but when the police arrive, Will's temper flares again. He swings at an officer, sealing his arrest. Meanwhile, Professor Lambeau returns to class and is shocked. The problem is solved. None of his students claims responsibility, leaving him baffled at the mysterious mind behind it. But Will Hunting's brilliance won't stay hidden forever. The question now is not whether he's a genius, but whether anyone will discover the dangerous temper that could destroy his future. Will's fists and quick temper land him in real trouble. After the street fight and attacking a police officer, he sits in court staring down a lengthy sentence. His rap sheet is long: assaults, theft, and countless warnings ignored. The judge has had enough, and this time there will be no leniency. Jail seems inevitable, but sitting quietly in the back is Professor Lambeau. He's pieced together the truth. The mysterious janitor who solved problems meant for graduate prodigies is none other than Will Hunting. To Lambeau, this is not a wasted youth. It's the mind of a once-in-a-generation genius, rotting away behind a mop bucket. After the ruling, Lambeau approaches Will with a proposition. He's pulled strings with the judge. There's a way out of prison, but it comes with conditions. Will must agree to study mathematics under Lambeau's supervision and attend regular therapy sessions. For most people, this would sound like a dream: freedom, education, and a chance at a future. For Will, it feels like a trap. Still, the alternative is cold concrete and barred windows. Begrudgingly, he accepts. Soon, Lambeau discovers just how powerful Will's mind really is. Complex equations that stump seasoned mathematicians roll off his chalk like simple arithmetic. The professor beams with pride, already envisioning Will as the next Einstein. But there's a problem. For every solved equation, Will slams a door on his own emotions. Therapy sessions begin, and they're a disaster. Will treats every counselor like another problem to solve. He reads their books the night before, mocks their methods, and dismantles their confidence until each gives up in frustration. One therapist storms out in tears. Another refuses to see him again. Lambeau is exasperated. He's on the verge of losing this brilliant mind to arrogance and stubbornness. Then he remembers an old friend, Sean McGuire, a psychology professor at a small community college. Unlike the others, Sean has lived a life of pain and loss. Maybe he's the one who can reach Will. When Sean finally sits down across from Will, the young man thinks it will be just another game. But this time, the game is about to change. Sean McGuire greets Will with calm eyes and a quiet voice, the kind of presence that doesn't need to prove itself. But Will, true to form, comes in ready to play his usual game, mocking, provoking, and testing how quickly he can make another therapist give up. Sean lets him talk. Will scans the bookshelves and makes jabs about psychology theories, trying to get a reaction. Then his eyes land on a painting Sean has created, one filled with lonely, dark strokes. Will smirks and begins analyzing it, tossing out harsh assumptions. Loneliness, fear, wasted potential. It's all designed to cut deep. For a while, Sean doesn't flinch. He knows this is a performance, a wall built out of clever words. But then Will crosses the line. He mentions Sean's late wife, suggesting she must have cheated on him. In an instant, Sean grabs Will by the throat and warns him never to disrespect her again. The room goes silent. Will calmly says the session is over and walks out, convinced he's broken another therapist. To Lambo's surprise, Sean doesn't quit. Instead, he requests another session. He sees something in Will that others miss. Not just brilliance, but deep pain. And he isn't about to walk away. Their next meeting takes place in a park. Sean doesn't lecture or probe. Instead, he opens up, telling Will he thought long and hard about the insults. His conclusion? Will is just a kid who reads books, but doesn't honestly know life. Sean explains that you can memorize art critiques, but you'll never know what it feels like to truly love someone from a textbook. You can study war, but you'll never understand the fear of battle from behind a desk. Will sits in silence. For the first time, he doesn't have a quick comeback. Sean leans in and tells him, "You're brilliant, but you're terrified. You hide behind numbers and words, so no one can hurt you. Sooner or later, you'll have to start talking." For once, Will Hunting doesn't have control of the conversation, and that silence marks the beginning of something that could change his life forever. Slowly, the wall between Will and Sean begins to crack. Their sessions shift from silence and sarcasm to small moments of honesty. Will talks about Skylar, the Harvard student he's been seeing. He admits he likes her, but insists she's too good for him. It's easier, he says, to push her away before she discovers the truth about who he really is. Sean listens carefully. He doesn't dismiss Will's fears, but he challenges them. Everyone has flaws, Sean says. The real question isn't whether someone is perfect, it's whether they're perfect for you. To prove his point, Sean shares a story about his late wife. She was the most beautiful, kind-hearted woman he ever knew, but she also used to fart in her sleep. It wasn't a flaw, it was just part of who she was. Will bursts into laughter, and for the first time, the therapy feels less like a battle and more like a conversation between two people. Encouraged, Will musters the courage to call Skylar again. Their relationship deepens, and she sees through his guarded nature, pushing gently for him to open up. But when she asks about his family, Will lies, inventing stories about having a dozen brothers. He's still terrified of showing her the painful truth. Meanwhile, Professor Lambo grows impatient. He arranges high-profile job interviews for Will, believing his intellect should be put to use solving the world's most complex problems. But Will doesn't want to play that game. Instead, he sends his best friend Chucky to one of the interviews, turning it into a prank. Sean, on the other hand, keeps pushing in a different way. He doesn't care about jobs or prestige. He cares about Will finding his own voice. But every step forward in therapy is met with 2 steps back in Will's personal life. When Skylar asks him to move with her to California, Will panics. The thought of leaving behind his comfort zone and risking real love terrifies him. Their conversation spirals into an argument, and Will lashes out with cruel words. Skylar tells Will she loves him, but he coldly says he doesn't love her back, walking away as she breaks down in tears. After Skylar walks away, Will buries himself back in his routine, working at construction sites by day and spending nights out with Chucky and the gang. On the surface, nothing has changed, but inside, the cracks are widening. Chucky sees it. One afternoon, he tells Will something that cuts deeper than any insult. He says that as much as he loves hanging out, he secretly hopes that one day he'll knock on Will's door and he won't be there, that Will have finally left to chase a life bigger than South Boston. For Chucky, wasting Will's genius on construction sites is not loyalty, it's tragedy. Meanwhile, Lambo grows restless. He pressures Sean for progress, insisting that Will's talents can't be left to rot. Sean counters that Will isn't ready, that forcing him into jobs or academia will only make him retreat further. Their arguments grow sharper, each man seeing a different future for Will. In their next session, Sean takes a new approach. He pulls out a file filled with photographs of Will's bruises from his foster years. Quietly, he shares his own past, revealing that his alcoholic father once beat him and his mother. For the first time, Sean isn't just a therapist, he's a survivor too. Sean looks Will straight in the eye and tells him, "It's not your fault." Will nods quickly, brushing it off. Sean repeats it. "It's not your fault." Will snaps back that he knows. But Sean keeps going, gently, insistently. "It's not your fault." Will's defenses crumble. His voice shakes, his eyes fill with tears, and finally he collapses into Sean's arms, sobbing as years of pain pour out. For the first time in his life, Will lets himself be vulnerable, lets someone hold the weight with him instead of carrying it alone. The next time we see him, Will has made a decision. He tells Sean he's ready to move forward, to stop running. He'll take one of the job offers lined up by Lambeau, and as he hugs Sean goodbye, it feels like the end of one chapter and the start of another. But as Sean closes the office door, Will still hasn't said goodbye to Skylar. His heart pulls him in a different direction, one that might change everything again. With Sean's words echoing in his heart, Will begins to see his world differently. He takes time to sit with his choices, and for once, he doesn't rush to push people away. His best friends celebrate his birthday with a beat-up old car. Nothing glamorous, but it's theirs, and it means everything to him. Surrounded by loyalty, Will realizes he's richer than he ever thought possible. At the same time, Professor Lambeau tries to patch things up with Sean. Their fiery debates give way to understanding, and Lambeau admits he crossed lines. Sean forgives him, revealing he's leaving for a trip around the world. It's his way of moving forward, just as Will must now decide how to move forward too. The next morning, Chucky drives to Will's house like always, but this time he knocks and no one answers. He peeks through the window only to find the place empty. A slow smile spreads across his face. His wish has come true. Will finally left. Meanwhile, Sean finds an envelope in his mailbox. Inside is a letter from Will. In his messy handwriting, Will thanks Sean for everything, but tells him he's not taking the job offers. Instead, he's heading to California, chasing the one thing he's been too scared to fight for, Skylar. We then see Will behind the wheel of that old car, a quiet smile on his face as he drives down the open road. The skyline fades in the background, and the highway stretches endlessly ahead. After years of running from himself, Will is finally running towards something: love, hope, and a future of his own choosing. It's not about math, money, or genius anymore. It's about finding the courage to step out of the shadows and live. Will's car disappears down the road, leaving us with only one thought. Sometimes the most complex problem isn't solving equations, it's solving your own heart. Critics and audiences alike fell in love with Good Will Hunting. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a glowing 97%, praised for its emotional depth and brilliant performances. Roger Ebert described it as lyrically directed, efficiently written, side-splittingly funny, and quietly devastating. Variety highlighted Matt Damon's performance as towering and called the film beautifully realized, a zeitgeist movie that spoke directly to a generation of dreamers. Now for some fascinating behind-the-scenes gems. Matt Damon first wrote the story as a playwriting assignment while at Harvard. He and Ben Affleck turned it into a screenplay, and after years of struggle, it finally became the film that launched their careers. The unforgettable sleep fart monologue by Robin Williams was improvised entirely on the spot. That one moment broke the entire crew out laughing and showcased Williams' genius for mixing humor with heartbreak. And if you ever visit Boston, fans still gather at the iconic Public Garden bench, where Sean and Will had their breakthrough conversation. Today, it serves as a touching tribute to Robin Williams, often covered in flowers, notes, and quotes from the film. Good Will Hunting is more than just a story about math and genius. It's about love, loss, and the courage to let someone in. It reminds us that intelligence alone doesn't define a life. It's the connections we make and the choices we take that shape who we become. From Will's banter with his friends, to his fiery debates with Sean, to that quiet moment on the bench in Boston, the film captures what it means to be human, flawed, afraid, but still capable of change. And maybe that's why decades later, the movie still resonates so deeply. It challenges us to ask, are we living safely in our comfort zones? Or are we brave enough to take a chance on something more? Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed the journey, drop a like to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. Your favorite recap is only a click away.